Imagine a secret city, not hidden in a jungle or buried in a desert, but entombed under 1,000 feet of solid ice. A city with streets, a hospital, a church, even a movie theater, all carved into the Greenland ice sheet. It sounds like the lair of a Bond villain, but it was very real. It was called Camp Century, but its true purpose was far more audacious. Project Iceworm, a plan to hide hundreds of nuclear missiles under the ice, pointed at the Soviet Union. This is the story of how it all went terribly, predictably wrong. I'm Ibnul J. Farabi, and this is Hidden Histories, the Untold Files. Our story begins in the late 1950s, at the height of the Cold War. The U.S. Army needed a way to station nuclear missiles within striking distance of the USSR, but doing so openly in Europe was politically volatile. So, they looked at the map and saw Greenland, a massive, frozen, Danish territory. They approached Denmark with a brilliant, peaceful cover story. They wanted to build a research station to study Arctic engineering and climate science. Denmark, a NATO ally, agreed. And so, construction began on Camp Century, a public marvel of engineering. They used massive rotary snowplows, like something from a science fiction novel, to carve trenches in the ice, then covered them with steel arches and more snow. It was a fully functioning base, powered by a portable nuclear reactor. They had living quarters, labs, and even a greenhouse. For the world, it was a testament to human ingenuity in the most extreme environment on Earth. But the public story was a complete facade, because underneath Camp Century, the real project was taking shape. Iceworm. The plan was to create a vast, hidden network of tunnels stretching over 2,500 miles under the ice, a subterranean railroad system for railway-mounted missile launchers. The idea was that they could constantly move, hidden from Soviet satellites, ready to surface and fire at a moment's notice. It was a frozen, doomsday arsenal. But the engineers made one critical, arrogant miscalculation. They treated the Greenland ice sheet as a static, permanent fixture. They thought it was just frozen ground. But ice, especially on that scale, is alive. It flows. It shifts. It creeps. The very walls of their magnificent city were in constant, slow motion. Within just a couple of years, the tunnels began to deform. The ceilings sagged. Walls bulged. Maintenance became a constant, losing battle. Crews were spending more time shoring up collapsing tunnels than doing any research or missile planning. The ice was literally crushing their ambition. By 1966, just 7 years after it opened, the Army had to admit defeat. Project Iceworm was abandoned. They removed the nuclear reactor but left everything else behind. The buildings, the railways, the biological, chemical, and radioactive waste sealed under the ice, assuming it would be entombed forever. Which brings us to the chilling, modern twist. The Army's 1960s report confidently stated that the waste would be preserved for millennia by perpetual snowfall. But they weren't climate scientists. Today, with the planet warming, the Greenland ice sheet is melting. And recent studies now show that the site could be exposed by the end of this century, if not sooner. All that Cold War waste, tens of thousands of gallons of diesel, radioactive coolant, and toxic chemicals, is on a slow-motion collision course with the environment. A geopolitical secret becoming an ecological threat. There's a profound lesson in the failure of Iceworm. It's a story of human ingenuity being outpaced by nature's sheer, relentless force. We looked at a continent of ice and saw a passive platform for our games of war. But the ice was never a platform. It was a river, all along. It's a reminder that the most complex plans can falter before the simplest truths. And sometimes, the things we try to bury the deepest are the ones that inevitably resurface. For Hidden Histories, The Untold Files, I'm Ibnul J. Farabi. This episode was produced by Light Knot Studios. You can find more forgotten stories like this one at https://www.lightknotstudios.com. Thank you for listening.